going, keep growing with IPED. Yes, it's on that note I want to invite you to another program of Grow with IPED. You know, IPED everywhere in Guyana for everyone in Guyana. And we are specially there to provide assistance to you, the micro, small, and medium-sized entrepreneurs. Not forgetting the young ones out there within the ages of 18 and 35. You too can benefit from the services of the Guyana Youth Business Trust, which is a separate unit of IPED. And remember too that IPED, we provide supervised credit. That means that we train you, we counsel you, and we guide you as to how to run your business. So at IPED, we have an entrepreneurial development center which provides complementary business development services to you, the small, the micro, and medium-sized entrepreneurs. And that is provided to you so that you too can get going and keep growing with IPED. On my program this week, it's a very important program. Those of you who are self-employed entrepreneurs, it's a very important program. So I want to invite you to stay tuned, and I'll be right back after this short ad break.
Pursue a career in business and management or build your human resource capacity with diplomas and advanced diplomas from the Institute of Commercial Management based in the UK. Contact IPED's Entrepreneurial Development Centre. Our diploma and advanced diploma courses include business studies, project management, marketing, office management, human resource development, and international trade. Affordable evening classes, qualified tutors, a comfortable environment with free learning materials and study facilities. Choose IPED and ICM.
Welcome back, and I want to thank you for joining us on this week's program of Grow with IPED. As I said in my opening statements, it's a very interesting program. Interesting in the sense that it is so important that we'll be talking about something that means a lot to all of you self-employed persons out there, and that is about NIS and you. That is the National Insurance Scheme, and how you can benefit and how you can become a contributor to the NIS. And it's on that note I want to say a special and a hearty welcome to my guest on the program this week, Miss Diane Baxter, who is the Public Relations Officer of the NIS. It's a pleasure having you, Diane.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. It is a pleasure being on the program this evening.
It's quite some time that you haven't been on our program. I can remember maybe
That is
5
so
or 6
true.
years back.
That is so true.
And you know, ever so often it is important for us to enlighten and to keep rehashing, to keep sensitizing persons out there, especially the entrepreneurs of Guyana, that there is a place for NIS for them as well.
Yes, I'm really happy that IPED is still seeing the importance of the National Insurance Scheme, and that you have taken time out to invite us to be a part of this program. And the fact that you have done it at this level, to me, would mean a lot to the entrepreneurs. We have our own program, but I'm always excited when persons can invite NIS to be a part of what they are doing and help us to accomplish the mission that we have set out to accomplish. And so thank you very much.
And we want to thank you for taking time off to be with me in the program.
You're welcome.
So let us start the discussion by sensitizing and maybe enlightening persons out there. I'm pretty sure there are persons out there who maybe have never heard of NIS. What is NIS?
What is NIS? NIS basically is the National Insurance Scheme. It is a social security scheme. We are an insurance company also. Sometimes persons forget that fact. And of course, we are a financial institution as well.
Okay.
NIS basically is a compulsory scheme. And so once you are gainfully occupied, meaning once you have a job, be it as an employed person or be it as a self-employed person, you must be registered with the National Insurance Scheme.
When you say compulsory, compulsory by law?
Yes, we are governed by the laws of Guyana, Chapter 3601.
Okay.
And so that makes it mandatory. It's legal that you pay your NIS. And persons who are working and don't do that well, then there would be some breach.
Okay. So it brings me to this point. Who can join or who can be contributors?
Well, any person who is employed. If I'm employed with an employer or I'm self-employed, I must be between the age of 16 to 60. That is to be paying NIS. However, all persons that are employed must be registered. Now, there are times when you would have the what we call the work study students. We have the like those trainees, the apprentices, and so on. Those persons also have to be registered, but they do not pay NIS. So NIS, you basically pay NIS between the category of 16 to 60, that age category.
Okay.
But all persons must be registered
And
once
who's-
you are gainfully occupied.
So whose responsibility is it to register these persons? Is it the employee or the employer?
Okay, for the employee, it would be the employer.
The
So I'm
employer.
working with IPED, for instance. IPED would be responsible for registering me. But if I'm self-employed, I'm working with myself, I have that sole responsibility.
Okay, so it brings me to this point, one of the most important point we want to talk about here on this program. Can self-employed too
Self-employed.
become a member?
Yes, and we are more and more targeting, if I may, for want of a better word, we are more focusing on the self-employed persons. Why? Because many times we have found with the employees, because of the fact that our employers, they're responsible for making the deductions
Right.
and remitting it over to NIS.
Right.
It's easier for that category of persons to be paying NIS.
Right.
But sometimes the self-employed persons, they do not see the need until something happens.
Quite true.
And so they can be registered also, the self-employed persons. A self-employed person would mean someone who is working by himself. He dictates what time he goes to work, how he does his job, what tools he will use to do his job, right? And so that's a self-employed person.
So in IPEDs, with regards to what we do at IPED, funding micro, small, and medium-sized entrepreneurs,
They're all self-employed,
So
yes.
they too can
They
benefit.
too can benefit from the scheme and should be registered. I know in the past we would have done a lot of programs. You had your training and so on, and we were also there talking, and some of them would have, they're registered as a result of those training sessions that we had. And I know from time to time, you too, apart from us
Right.
being here, you've always been with NIS. You are
Right.
on board all the time. And so
Yes.
we know you've been pushing that they be registered.
Quite true. And we find it so important, especially now, because very often, we fund quite a number of micro entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs.
Yes.
These are persons who are working by themselves. And very often, because they experience certain illnesses, certain,
Yes.
Things in their
Yes.
business, it affects their payments,
affects,
and very often we try to encourage them. Why don't you go and get yourself, registered and pay your NIS?
And that can happen because that's actually part of our mission statement, whereby if someone's income is interrupted by sickness, death of a breadwinner,
Right.
because these entrepreneurs, some of them are the sole breadwinners
breadwinner.
for their homes,
Quite true.
and should that person die, that will definitely leave a financial void in that home, that person's family, and the family's life can be affected tremendously.
Right, quite
And
true.
so that is how we want persons to view it. I always say on the program, when I'm doing my program, that sometimes when you are self-employed and you're earning a lot of money, sometimes you think, oh, well, I'm earning, I don't need to. Some people
Right.
don't even bank.
Right,
You know,
true,
some
quite
people
true.
don't put up anything. They don't have a private insurance because they feel the money will always be flowing.
And they think that they will always be healthy.
But
They
exactly.
don't think of
Of what
uneventualities
can, exactly,
that can happen.
exactly.
So it brings me to this point. I'm a micro entrepreneur. I'm a self-employed
Employed
person.
person.
How can I join?
Okay, it's very simple. You go to the nearest NIS office. We have the registration form. Of course, if you are unable to complete it by yourself, someone would be more than willing to assist you. It's very straightforward with
Right.
that. Ask for the basic things, name, address, etc. And if you had a registration number before, that is an NIS number,
Right.
well, then you will continue to use that same number. If the number were a permanent or temporary number, we will change it to a permanent number, right? And that's the number they'll continue to use. And so the registration process, after the registration process is done, the person is then advised by an inspector based on his or her earnings as to how much he or she would be eligible to pay.
So it's very simple.
Very simple.
All you need to do is to
Very
go
simple. I'm
into
telling you that the process takes about 3 days.
3 days. And
Yes.
you can pick up a form
And in
at
some
any-
instances, one day,
One
depending
day.
on,
And-
because some people would come in and say, well, I'm leaving, I'm going out to
Right.
the country or something, and I need to get this thing
Quite
done
true.
today. And we facilitate them
Right. And you have NIS offices spread across the country.
throughout.
Throughout
We
the
even
length
have
and
our
breadth.
presence at Latham.
Right, and IPED, we
Yes.
say we're everywhere in Guyana for
Yes.
everyone in Guyana. NIS too
Yes, that's
is
right.
everywhere here in Guyana for all of you out
Yes.
there, whether you're self-employed or you're an employed person by, an employer. So let us talk about, I've registered, I'm a contributor, what are some of the benefits, what are the benefits that NIS would provide me as an entrepreneur?
Okay, if I may pedal back a little, I know you've asked it, but I'll answer the question shortly.
No problem.
Now, as a self-employed person, that person is required to pay 12.5% of his or her insurable earnings.
Okay.
Now, we have what we call a ceiling.
Right.
The ceiling basically speaks of the maximum amount of money that we would insure from anybody's earning. And the same applies to the self-employed person.
Right.
Now, the ceiling, our current ceiling with effect from the 1st of January is 158,599.
Per
Right,
month.
that's per month. That's
Right.
the highest amount. Now, the thing is with that ceiling, is that if someone, a self-employed person, is earning, let's say, $200,000 per
Right.
month, they will not pay 200,000,
Right.
but they will pay on that ceiling, the 158 and change.
158,
Right?
right.
Let's round it to 159.
159.
Right? 12.5% of that.
Okay.
Now, we also have what we call a minimum that is set for a self-employed person, and that minimum is $40,000.
Wow.
Now the thing is, if a self-employed person is genuinely not earning $40,000 per month, right? Genuinely not earning that because of maybe the nature of his or her business,
Right.
that person can do a letter to the board, and concession will be granted for that person to pay on, what it is that they can afford to
Right,
pay.
so you're saying 40 is the minimum,
Yes,
but let
that's
us
the
say
minimum.
if I'm earning just $35,000,
Yes.
I can write the NIS
Yes,
seeking,
yes, yes,
permission to get on board.
yes.
So it's 40,000 minimum, and it
Yes.
goes to $159,000.
Yes, yes.
That's a wide range.
Yes, and that will entitle the self-employed person to the thing that they want to hear about now.
Right, now.
Benefits.
Benefits.
Now, we have a wide range of benefits that we offer. The benefits are placed into 3 categories,
Right.
basically. But the self-employed persons, because they only pay for 2 categories.
Okay.
Why? They do not pay for the industrial branch.
Why?
Why? Because we do not allow them to pay. We do not allow them to pay because with the industrial benefit, for instance, I'm an employed person. My employer has to provide a statement saying how, when, what I was doing when the accident occurred,
Okay.
right? Because industrial is work related, it's on the job.
But stick a pin there. Let us say if I have a furniture establishment, I'm producing furniture, I'm the owner, and I
Yes.
have other workmen, employees working with me,
Yes.
and I'm the boss, I'm the
Yes.
manager, I'm the owner, and an employee gets, injured whilst
Injured.
on the job. What
Yes,
about
that employee would be entitled.
Right, because I am the manager, I would
Yes.
verify and certify.
Exactly. But
Saying-
with the self-employed person, if it's the manager, we would have no way of verifying. Who will verify the information for the manager?
Right.
So because we have no checks and balances as it relates to the self-employed persons, we do not allow them to pay. And so whereas the employed person, that is persons like you and I,
Right.
we're paying 14% and 13% in some instances. That is together with our employers. The self-employed person, they only pay 12.5%.
Okay.
And that is to cover them for the 2 sets of benefits.
Right.
That is the long-term branch and the short-term branch.
Oh, so let us
but
talk about
not
the
the
short-
industrial.
So let's talk about the short-term benefits.
Okay, under the short term, you
What
have
are
2
they?
sets. We have sickness and maternity.
Okay.
Now, each benefit has its own qualifying condition.
Right.
For instance, well, both of them, you must be between 16 to 60, right? That's the one of the first qualifying condition. For the sickness, you must have paid at least 50 contributions.
Okay.
And that's approximately 1 year. It doesn't matter how it come. If I'm now working with a company for 5 months, but I worked previously, what we do, we add the contributions. So it's the cumulative amount.
Stick a pin. Sometimes persons out there, they always get this confused when they
Yes.
hear about 20 contributions, 50 contributions. It's 20 weekly contributions you're
Yes,
talking about.
yes.
Sometimes people are of the view that it's 20 monthly contributions, especially monthly staff.
Yes, well, what happens, whether you're being paid monthly or weekly, we still would calculate it as weekly.
As weekly.
Right? And the number of contributions would be